How versatile is Joe as a meme? I mean, really, that's,
Yeah.
and the box, it's just gonna keep going.
Do you think this peach looks like a butt?
It looks a little like a butt.
I'm definitely frowning all the time.
It's a choice, or is that what you look like when you think?
That's apparently Joe's resting bitch face, I guess. That is what we call acting. This is an acting choice.
This is one of the first scenes we shot for season 2, if I remember.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think this is what I would have read before I read the script in order to do the chemistry read with Victoria.
Yeah, you did. She talked about peaches looking like butts a lot.
You're able to put more work in on the pilot, so I remember just thinking about the peaches and butts line more than maybe any line in the season. It's iconic in my mind. It probably is iconic now too.
I wrote this scene. It's like, how do people flirt? How do they strike up conversations with strangers? Like, there's nothing that deep about it. I just thought if I was in the produce section, what would I say to try to be funny? Like, I wasn't thinking, later people were like, is it because Peach Salinger? And I was like, yeah, totally thought about that.
I like it.
I have a friend, and she and I have had a long-standing joke about peaches looking like butts. And we sometimes find little figurines and lip glosses shaped like peach. So I have a little collection of butt-shaped peaches in my home. And that's the actual genesis of the thing.
I need to become Beck.
I need the earth to split open.
I gotta say, I had the most fun in this episode, and this scene in particular. Such a strange mixture of fun and misery, maybe?
I popped in while you were filming this scene, I think, and the energy was so intense on set. The energy between you and James, because I think you'd been doing it for a couple days at this point in this one room.
Yeah. It was its own acid trip. It really was so, oh God, look at him. Oh. He got to the point where he was mouthing it. I mean, so they had like an earwig in his ear so he could, oh, and then I'm strangling. This is so intense to just be talking and joking while but he had an earwig in his ear to hear Elizabeth's original lines, which he was, mimicking. And it got to the point where the energy culminated in that moment, actually. It was a really, really long, like 16 or 17 or maybe 18-hour day, and James was weeping and I was weeping, and this was like overall my favorite episode because of the experience. It was something very special about it.
I love hallucinatory stories. It stops behaving by the rules of like everyday life, so it can be really funny and really scary and really tragic all at the same time. My favorite scenes in that episode, that's what happened between you and James. Kudos to the two of you weeping in each other's arms for 18 hours.
I thought you were the last person who'd be hysterical.
Hysterical? You killed Delilah!
I've been seeing these cage scenes memed a lot since the pandemic began. Like a lot of variations on the sentiment that the cage looked worse before coronavirus came and now it doesn't look quite so bad.
How versatile is Joe as a meme? I mean, really. That's,
yeah.
And the box, it's just gonna keep going. Look at my stance. I look like a Spider-Man mime. I was like on my toes with my hands up.
I have a question for you about this. To me, the two of you landed in front of the camera with incredible chemistry. Do you feel like it's something you just had from the beginning, or that you cultivated and grew and grew and grew over the course of the season?
Yeah, there's definitely both. We just naturally had it. But I think by the time this scene rolled around, it mirrored season 1 with Elizabeth, but I think it had to go even further because it just had to, like, I think even just as a device, it had to go further, right? It just narratively. And then also Victoria's characters in this case, much crazier. Ooh, Delilah. Oh,
Delilah.
my word. Delilah!
I really have to hand it to Silver, our producing director. She sent me photographs over the course of a couple of days of Delilah posed in various positions because we were so mindful of the fact that she was going to be, a beautiful woman who had been murdered in a gory way, and that she'd be sort of splayed out. And we wanted to make sure we didn't cross that line into like objectifying this essentially corpse in a sexual way. So she was incredibly careful and sent a lot of options. And we talked a lot about all of the shots she would have of you with her, so that, we stayed on this is such a strange thing to talk about. It's like the dude who kills a lot of women, but we don't want to like objectify them when they're dead. But
well, no, I mean, that's such a legit consideration. I mean, it's important to have those talks because, it's not like we haven't seen that before.
Right. And I think the show loses credibility when it's like lascivious in any way about that. Yeah. But Carmela was such a trooper because she was, lying there packed with ice, all kinds of stuff for days.
Yeah, there were a lot of firsts I had with Joe. This was another one.
But it's hard to stay sad when there's new life growing.
This reminds me of of the beginning of a movie in the 90s. I remember I was very excited to drive a car. Didn't really get to do that much in this show. I think I was also thrilled that like most of my work was over. You know, I was like, oh.
You really don't get many breaks. A lot.
With this guy, no, he's a clown suit that doesn't come off until the end.
I mean, but you're in almost every frame of the season.
Yeah, I'm even inside the fake belly right there. We set it up. So.
That was a huge spoiler for season 3. Thanks.
Yeah. The coldest wave from a mother-in-law will ever know.
Yeah.
There's the frown. I'm pretty sure didn't even know I was doing it until I started watching footage from the second season.
This is our Lucy with the football that we do to the audience all the time. Where we're like, Joe's better. He's totally better. Is he better?
What a nice little reference you just made, Lucy with the football.
Mm-hmm.
That's very wholesome. I want to ask you about what we're going to do here, but you can't really tell us, can you? Can you tell us anything?
I mean, it's pretty obvious when we were filming this that we were careful not to show too much of her because that role hasn't technically been cast yet, but there's lots to come with that neighbor.